This is 2016's Yoga Hosers. Warning, spoilers ahead. We open up on the corner store that Colleen work at. But then we quickly flash over to the two of them singing in the stockroom. Ichabod plays the sick drums, and the three of them manage to sing a dope song that ends in a mic drop. Once the song is over, Ichabod tries to show off some more of his awesome beats and body. But Colleen aren't too impressed with what they see. In fact, they end up laughing at him while they take pictures for social media. Ichabod isn't too happy about the lack of appreciation he's getting from the Colleens, but they try to float his boat by talking about the last time he showed off his body by accident. Suddenly, there's a knock on the door, and the Colleens have to get back to work. How sick would it be to be able to take your breaks like this at work? Would you rather rock out in the storeroom or sit around in a circle with the other people on break while sitting in silence for 15 minutes? Yeah, let's go Ichabod. Colleen put their uniform shirts back on, and they head back to work after insulting Ichabod a little bit more. When they go back out to the front, there's a newspaper that says they saved the day one time. This movie's actually a sequel to Tusk, technically, and the Colleens are the ones that barely pointed the police in the right direction. They unlock the door to greet the waiting customers, and they apologize the traditional Canadian way. Back in the back, Ichabod calls out that he'll see the girls another day, but the only one that seems to hear him is a small creature that's spying on him. Colleen get behind the counter to check out the customers, and they get put down by some little kid that makes fun of Colleen's manatee joke. Just then, Hunter walks in, and Colleen immediately takes notice. Once he approaches the counter, he takes a picture of the Colleens, and he gives them a smooth compliment until Gordon barges up to the counter to ask for some Pepto-Bismol. They quickly point him in the right direction, and Hunter asks the girls to come to his senior party the next day. That's the sign you've made it, or the sign that they think they're really easy. I haven't seen Colleen enough yet to know which one they are, but I have a good feeling that they aren't easy. Colleen quickly agrees, and she gives Hunter her number. Elsewhere, a man walks through the park after leaving the store, and he hears little voices behind him. After seeing nothing, he starts walking again, but a little man with a pointy helmet goes right up his bum. Yeah, you heard that right. This is one of those weird movies. A little man with a pointy hat screams something in German while going up the man's bum. Welcome to Canada. Later, Mrs. Mackenzie finds out about Colleen's getting invited to Hunter's party, but she knows why sophomore girls are invited to a senior party. She eventually agrees to let her go, but she gives her a switchblade to make sure she's protected. The next day, the Colleens go to do yoga with Yogi, and they go through a mystical journey through some of the weirdest positions. Eventually, Yogi casually brings up that he heard about body parts being found around town, and he gives them quick advice on how they need to have their next bowel movement in lotus position. Not gonna lie, I'm kinda curious now. That evening, the Colleens are getting ready for the party tomorrow night, and Mr. Collette comes in to see what's going on. Suddenly, Tabitha pops up and starts smooching on Mr. Collette, but after Colleen talks about how dumb she is, Tabitha tells Mr. Collette about how the girls can't practice for their band in the back anymore. When Tabitha gets him back into the bedroom, he quickly jumps on the opportunity to ride her carnival ride. Colleen knows how to keep things from happening though. Colleen start singing a touching song in her room that Mr. Collette used to sing her when she was a baby. He quickly starts tearing up, and it's pretty easy to see that Tabitha has no power here anymore. The next day at school, Colleen decide to take pictures instead of doing Mrs. Wickland's yoga class. How many schools out there actually have a yoga class? Feel like my high school's kinda slacking now. Mrs. Wickland makes it very clear that she's not a fan of Colleen's generation, and she takes their phone for the rest of the day. The girls head to history class with Miss Maurice next, and they're talking about World War II. Gordon asks why they have to learn about anything that happened on the other side of the world, but Ms. Maurice mentions that there were actually Nazis right there in Canada during World War II. Then she mentions Arcand, who was apparently a sort of Canadian Hitler, and we see that he had a plan to send all of the Canadian Jews out into the Hudson Bay before shooting their boat down. Naturally, most citizens were against this, but there was a German in the audience. Arcand took Arcand under his wing, and the Nazi Party grew in Canada. I have to admit, my history on Canada is kind of non-existent. Were there actually Canadian Nazis? By the end of Ms. Maurice's lesson, the girls find out that the Arcand was killed in the 60s, and Arcane was never found. After class, the girls go to visit Principal Invincible to get their phones back, and Principal Invincible makes it clear that she's one step ahead of them. After Colleen find out that their phones are dead, Guy Lapointe makes his presence known, and they head to the library where Guy reminds them that they met back when he solved the case of the Winnipeg Walrus. After that, he decides to show them a picture of the man that the little German pointy hat man killed, and he gives them a brief goodbye. Once their phones are charged, the Colleens find out that Mr. Collette is making the two of them work tonight so that they can't go to the party. It's all Tabitha's fault, go figure. There might not be time for a party tonight, but there's always time for yoga. Yogi definitely gives advice that's the opposite of yoga. Granted, he's a strip mall yoga teacher that's being sued by Warner Brothers for calling himself Yogi Bear, but the girls could have gotten a better teacher. That night at work, the girls are clearly having a bad time, and there's one of those little German men creeping around. Soon, Hunter calls to see where the Colleen girls are, and they decide to invite Hunter and the party to the store so that they could party there instead. Hunter graciously agrees to bring the party there at 9, but what the girls don't know is that it's just Hunter and Gordon, who have been planning on killing them for some reason. Colleen closes up the store so they can get ready for the party, and they head to the break room to get ready. Suddenly, Hunter knocks on the back door, and the girls head there to welcome their guests. Hunter really plays up the good guy card, and he does his best to make the girls feel special. And of course, Hunter and Gordon are some sort of sacrificing Satanists. I feel like every other movie I do is about some sort of satanic cult. I mean, that's fine by me, but that was just never advertised. After Hunter pulls his knife out on Colleen, she pulls out her mother's switchblade, but the little German man goes right up Hunter's butt and kills him before Colleen can do anything. Sure enough, the same thing happens to Gordon out in the store, but we can actually see the little man crawling up his insides. The little Nazi man runs after Colleen, but soon, the other Colleen comes out and snatches the little man. She tosses him into the microwave, and after a few seconds of cooking, he explodes into a splatter of mini French fries for blood. After that, they find another one on the shelf, and they tear him in two. Did you ever think that you'd be watching something like this? Because I definitely didn't. I also didn't expect to find someone like Stan Lee making a cameo in this while cursing. That's it, my life's complete. The police aren't much help for the girls, and they decide to try and find a way to sneak around the store instead. Once that doesn't work, they decide to use their yoga skills to take out all of the little Nazi sausages, and they seem to be holding their own in their own creative way. Once the girls take out all of the sausage men, they rush outside to find all of the police surrounding the store and holding them at gunpoint. The girls are accused of killing Hunter and Gordon, but once at the police station, Guy sneaks in to ask the girls some questions. When Guy mentions that everyone thinks that the girls killed the boys, they mention the Bratzies. Guy tells them that he's already been in the store and seen one of the Bratzi corpses, so he believes them. Then he points out that he was able to dig up an old land deed that showed that the Canadian Fuhrer had purchased 100 acres of the land that the store sits on. He believes that the Arcand buried secrets under the store, and he plans to get to the bottom of this. I know this is set in the same universe as Tusk, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but this movie's actually really ridiculous. That's not bad, though. It just feels weird that Bratzies is weirder than a man being turned into a walrus. It is, though. Colleen decides to strike a deal with Guy that she'll show him the secret passageway into the store if he finds a way to get them out. Guy does just that, and they all head back to the store. Once inside, the girls decide to post on Instagram about what happened, but Guy points out that he didn't take the time to steal their phones on their way out on their jailbreak. He also didn't bring them anything else to change into, but Colleen points out that their yoga outfits are in the other room. Once the girls get back in the bathroom, Colleen points out that she lied about the secret passageway, but while they change, they end up discovering one. Guy bursts into the bathroom after hearing a scream, but he finds the bathroom empty. When he sits on the toilet, he gets attacked by a Bratzi, and he watches as the little dude goes into the secret passageway. Guy wakes up in a chair next to Colleen, and I'm beginning to wonder how the little Bratzis were able to get them down there. Suddenly, Guy focuses his eyes enough to find that they're sitting in a Nazi dining room while sitting across from Arcane. He tells his captives that Germany actually locked him up in the stronghold to clone an army that would take over Canada and America. He made the clones out of the bratwurst, and he froze himself in cryo to wait for them to grow to maturity. It turns out that they woke up early due to the Colleens and Ichabod using a short circuit to play their music. Arcane finds that his wiener babies never made it to their full potential, and he turns their attention to his real passion, sculpting. Apparently, critics got in his way of doing what he loved, and the Nazis recruited him shortly after. After waking up from his cryo-slumber, Arcane decided to learn about pop culture references and get back into sculpting. This story took an even weirder turn. There's this whole drama storyline going on, and we've got to put the Bratzis on hold. Arcane unveils his first sculpture since being awake, and the girls look upon an absolute monster. Guy thinks that Arcane's giant Canada creation is very bold, but he thinks there is something very wrong with it. Yet, Arcane points out that the Colleens were never in any danger, because he needs their specific set of skills. It turns out that he actually wants to have his picture taken with his creation, so that it can be put up in the Teen Girls magazine. After Arcane releases the girls, they reveal that they actually don't have their phones for the first time, and Arcane decides to jump straight to the next phase of his plan. He fills the creation with all of the Bratzis, and he hopes for the creature to kill every art critic in Canada. This movie never set me up to expect any of this. What is this giant creature that looks like he's straight out of the old TMNT movies? What am I even watching anymore? This movie has no problem shifting from topic to topic without even thinking about the severity of each storyline. It's just having a good time. I'm here for it, though. Guy isn't sure that the Arcane's plan is all that bad, but Colleen and Colleen think that they have to stop Arcane's monster. Their great plan is to use every yoga position Yogi ever taught them, and they call the monster over to them. When Arcane tries to get in the way to bring the creature back to its purpose, it quickly slices him down with its giant hockey stick. Now it's the girls' time to show off their yoga skills. Every time the creature gets hit, it spits out a Bratzi, and the girls squash every single one that pops out. The move that brings the creature down is called two-legged dog in a pushcart, and that wins every award for my night. Guy ends up getting himself out of his restraints, and he squashes the final Bratzi. The girls wind up getting put on the cover of their favorite magazine, and Yogi has changed his name to Boo Boo. Obviously, he's still dealing with Warner Brothers lawyers, and I feel like this is something that has definitely happened out there at some point. Yogi lays down with the girls to remind them of the joys of yoga, and he tells them that they're his favorite pupils for what they were able to accomplish with the power of yoga. That evening, the girls go to work, and they quickly put up a new sign to let customers know that they're going to be away for 5 minutes. The girls head back to sing a banger version of the Canadian national anthem, and now I'm wondering if either of them is actually Canadian. I mean, Lily Rose even sings the entire song in French after singing the English version. I do have this movie to thank for a cross-eyed Johnny Depp shredding a guitar though. That alone gives this movie 5 stars. And with that, the credits roll. This movie was all over the place. I'm not even exactly sure what I just watched, but give it a shot. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more like this one. Comment what you think I should watch next, and I'll see you in the next video.